Okay, anyway, back to the modding situation in the Skyrim modding community. On the Nexus right now, there is a movement of modders who want to institute EULAs, end user license agreements, to the mods, and have decided that it is their right, their legal right, to enforce restrictions on who can review mods, how they can review mods, and that say that they need written permission from the mod author to make videos of their content. Now, that is absolute bullshit. That is not true whatsoever. They have absolutely no legal standing at all to assert the so-called rights that they claim that they have. You know, if any of these modders actually tried going to court with any YouTuber or even just a user who was using their mod and claimed that they didn't want to follow a license agreement, the modders would be defeated in court handily if it actually went to court like that. Now, you say it's about freedom of speech. I disagree. It's not a freedom of speech issue. The issue is with intellectual property rights in general. And, you know, what I'm worried about is not just the existence of these EULAs, but the culture they reflect. That there's a change in the culture of the modder community. Whereas previously, the majority of modders worked for the benefit of either themselves, they made content that they wanted to see in the game, or they contributed on collaborative projects which benefited the entire community as a whole. And so all the people who played that game reaped the benefits of the mods. And back in the day, like 10, 15 years ago, for example, when Morrowind was new, modders would want attribution if you used their content. Okay, say I was making a mod and myself, it was a quest mod or a city mod, and some of the NPCs in my city mod were going to use Dark Nuts textures, for example. Textures that were created by another modder. Okay? Back in the good old days, modders would have been satisfied for that attribution to take place within like a README file of the mod, or possibly on the download page even, would have been more than satisfactory. Nowadays, modders today, this discussion that I'm talking about is ongoing now as we speak. And what they're saying is that modders have a right to enforce license agreements on the users of their content. Now, no. Okay, Finn just interjected here saying that back in the good old days, people didn't know the laws they had. No, that is wrong. The law is not on the side of the modders in this case. They are assuming legal privileges that they do not have. They do not have the right to force users to agree to some sort of restrictive terms. That's what I'm saying. If they went to court with these things, they would all be defeated if somebody was willing to take the time and the energy and the money to actually go to court and fight these. You have it backwards. It's today that modders believe that they have legal rights that they do not have. Okay? And not only that, but they believe not only do they have those rights, but that they should enforce restrictions on how people use their mods. Okay? Because I think a big part of this, we saw it, for example, when Sky UI decided to go paid. Back when they tried paid Skyrim mods on Steam. One of the first mods to do that was Sky UI that had a price tag of $5. Now, if Sky UI was gated behind a price of $5, that would limit the ability of all other modders to utilize the features that, by that time, Sky UI had become not just a user interface mod, but a framework that dozens and dozens and dozens of mods all depend on the Sky UI framework. And those would be broken then if somebody did not fork over the $5 for the Sky UI, the paid version. Now, if I am a modder and I believe in modding for fun and modding for the benefit of myself, my own enjoyment, and the enjoyment of others in the community, if I am that modder and my mod, I now consider it broken, the Sky UI team has broken my mod because now they are forcing people, if they want to play my mod, my users have to pay the Sky UI team to use my mod because my mod was designed around the Sky UI modding framework. And this is when you get into licensing, which is destroying the pursuit of profit. People wanting to profit off of mods as if they are a professional grade product. And the vast majority, the overwhelming majority of mods, Big Miggy talks about free enterprise. Free enterprise doesn't exist in the modding community. What you are doing is modifying someone else's professional product, and now you are tweaking it, editing files, and adding in new, maybe sometimes adding in new textures or new models that you have designed yourself. But you do not have... Okay, if paid mods were going to be a thing, and I believe they certainly will be, the entire point of Bethesda.net is that someday Bethesda is going to come after the Nexus, force everybody to use Bethesda.net for their mods, and then, once they have established domination or a monopoly on mod distribution, then that is when they are going to reintroduce paid modding. Now, my issue with paid modding is not only that Sky UI example where it breaks other mods that rely on it. My other issue with mods in general, paid mods in general, is that you do not have a professional grade product. If I was going to pay money for game content, I demand a professional grade product, I demand quality control, I demand bug testing, I demand support, product support for when things go wrong with said mod. And most importantly of all, and this is the biggest issue with this, it needs... If I'm paying money for the mods, they need compatibility with all of the other things that I bought. Now, imagine if I bought Knights of the Nine DLC for Oblivion, but it broke. The Knights of the Nine questline broke when I installed Shivering Isles. Wouldn't that be ridiculous? Okay? Now, but that is what we are suggesting when we are talking about paid mods. Okay, sorry, I've had this screen up here for like 10 minutes. Young Onghoff is a master mage. That is excellent. Okay, so the issue here. Yeah, exactly. A lot of modders will disappear after they have completed their mod. Also, if we were going to have paid mods, there does need to be bug fixes, there needs to be updates. That's what I meant when I said support. Okay? And in modding, we don't have any of that. We don't have any guarantee of compatibility. We don't have any guarantee of support. We don't have any guarantee of updates. We don't have any guarantee that the mod itself will even work. There are all kinds of problems with mods that require, like Requiem, for example. Could you imagine trying to charge people money for Requiem, which has a rather complicated installation process, and you have to create a new copy of your game, and you have to install Java to get the mod to even install properly? You know, and who's going to do that? For a paid product, there needs to be a professional standard at every level, from development, the quality of development, to support, to ease of use. That's why you can never, ever, ever support paid mods. Not because some modders now are claiming that users are entitled and that they deserve to make money off of their creations. That's just not true, because these modders are incapable of delivering a professional standard for their product. And if I will not pay money for amateur, haphazardly developed, haphazardly implemented content. Okay, the development could be competent, but no matter what, you're going to have issues, major issues, when it comes to support and compatibility. That's just the nature of modding. Okay, let's take a look and see what people are saying about this. Yes, I agree with Finn. That's what I said. They definitely will. In my mind, it is a fact that Bethesda will attempt paid modding again using the Bethesda.net platform. It's very obvious to me that that is the entire purpose of Bethesda.net. Okay, so that's not even a issue in my mind. That's just something that will happen. Okay, and then yes, if Requiem is paid, it has to be easier for people to install. Exactly, that's exactly what I was just saying. Modding is meant to be free, community-made content. Yes, I agree with you 100%. Okay, let's see. This girl wants to join the Fighters Guild. This is Modna, my second child. No, we're gonna keep her at home in case something were to happen to my heir here. The Fighters Guild is a very good way to die. I have had children die before when they joined the Fighters Guild. So, no, absolutely not. Yes, if you're making mods with the purpose of making money, you are modding for the wrong reason. Exactly right. Exactly right. Because guess what? Zarek will tell you that modders are hoping to use their mods in a portfolio, and they're going to take this portfolio and try to use that to get a job in game development. Well, that is not going to happen 99% of the time, because if you are a mod maker and you make some armor set or some texture set, okay, anybody can do that. In terms of, I can't do it because I am not a 3D artist. Any professional 3D artist can make a texture or an armor set at least as good as your mod, because they are a professional, okay? Modders are overestimating the value of their content. And I mean value in a professional marketplace, okay? Like I just said, I appreciate all of the content that modders make and offer to the community as a way to enhance enjoyment of an older game, okay? But no mod, there is not one single mod out there that I know of made to a professional standard. Not Enderall, not Sky UI, none of those. Not even the script extender itself, would I say, is deserving of being labeled a professional grade product. No, the gameplay is not frozen. What's happening here is that these guys are just sitting on this, even though they don't have enough men to do anything about it. And this one is, he's walking somewhere that's going to take him forever. So the gameplay is fine. It's not frozen or anything. It's just that this guy's taking forever to move from one county to the next. And again, like I said, on top of all those issues of support, of compatibility, there's also the issue of breaking other mods which require other mods as a dependency. Sky UI is just the most egregious example because so many mods require Sky UI for... they're building on top of it. They're building on top of that framework. Just like the script extender. Of course, imagine if the script extender, they slap a fee on it like $9.99 or something like that. That means free modding, free and open source modding becomes impossible even if you wanted to. Because everything depends on the script extender. And this is, at this point, when we're talking about these sorts of issues, we're getting into issues of open source and what constitutes open source. If you are involved in like the free software community or the open source community in general for things like Linux or different applications like LibreOffice or things of that nature, you will know that there are big debates in the free software community about what kind of licensing is appropriate and what kind of licensing is overreach. Now, in the case of Skyrim modding, I would say any end-user license agreement which modders force end users to agree to is going way over the line, especially if you say, well, you can't make videos of my mods unless you agree to my terms and I give you written permission as an individual. That is just nonsense, okay? In my view, all of those end user license agreements are way over the line of acceptability when it comes to modding. Yes, Shadow Zealots, I agree with you 100%. Go into game development if you want to make real cash. Now, as I mentioned just a little while ago, people are they're under the impression that they will use their mods as a part of their portfolio to get a job. But I've already covered why I think that is misplaced. For example, one armor or one texture or even many... Okay, say you're an armor modder for Skyrim. I was talking to Zarek the other day and we stumbled across this guy who is posting all this stuff, and he has a compilation of all his mods called The Amazing World of Bikini Armor, right? And it's just like dozens and dozens of these armor sets that he's developed. Now, if I was somebody like that and I had developed dozens of armor sets for Skyrim bodies, I cannot, that is not something that you can put in a portfolio. Okay? Yes, because, look, I know a lot of people who work in graphic design, who work in, other art forms like that. And when you're doing a portfolio, you can't have a collection of isolated pieces. You need to come up with something that is a whole work. Okay, so for example, you can't just come in with everything you've ever done in graphic design and say, this is my portfolio. No, you need to come in and have, this is an example for the graphic design of an entire restaurant and how I would design everything for that restaurant. Not just a logo, not just a menu item. Instead of showcasing 500 logos that you've designed for a portfolio, it needs to be a better portfolio. Would be one logo, one menu that you have designed, one napkin design. You can see where I'm going with this. All of these things that create a whole for everything that you would need to design all of the graphics for a restaurant and have a unified theme for that restaurant. It's not enough to get a job in it's likewise in game development. It's not enough to say, I have modded Skyrim and made 100 armors for Skyrim. That is not a portfolio. That's like in the restaurant example or in the graphic design example, that's like making 100 logos. And that's great, but show me that you can do something and complete an entire project, you know? So that's why I'm saying that you can't, most Skyrim modders will be unable to use their mods in a professional portfolio. It's not really indicative of what you would need to get a job in game design. Yeah, Enderall, I would say, maybe. Those guys are basically... Enderall has a team, okay? And that team worked for years. From the time Skyrim came out, even before the creation kit came out, they were developing Enderall, okay? And yes, you are absolutely right. And you can see, to get a mod with the quality, which is almost professional, but not quite, it's still not quite a professional grade product. It took them a team of people, 5 years of development, okay? And Enderall, I would consider that to be several levels above Volskar. Volskar is big, but it's not particularly well done, in my opinion. Okay? It took him a lot of time because it is so big, and it was one guy doing it, but he was just essentially using the tools of the creation kit, okay? And he wasn't doing a whole lot of original coding. I don't believe he did a whole lot of original textures or models or anything like that. He was just using the tools available, made available by Bethesda to create a new map, essentially. Okay? But see, okay, you say he got a job at Bungie. The reason why is because he was 17 years old and taking on something of that scale and showing that you have the time and the determination to commit to something means that at that age, at 17 years old, an employer might hire you and take you under and say, I will give you professional training so that you can learn how to actually do something in game development. Okay, so our sisters here are not getting along. We're inviting them to Understone Keep and so they can have a family gathering. And again, we're almost reinforced. Yeah, exactly. Entry level. His job at Bungie is an entry-level designer. And that's great. Because, like I said, he showed that he could commit and he wanted... he's a kid. Okay? He's a kid who showed that he's willing to put in effort to learn something. Well, thank you, Finn. Appreciate it. So, the sisters had